My screen recording for or screen flow for this week's Raw edit. First off, I started like I did last week. I imported the image into Lightroom itself and then hit the export button so I can do some of the processing work in Photoshop, which I prefer doing. For this image, I actually really like this image. I really like the lips. They're one of the things that jump out straight away to me, and the look she's got on the face in general as well. So I'm really not going to be doing too much to this image today. One of the first things I want to do is get rid of this one of the stage lights, I presume. It's just catching my eye and it's drawing me away from the image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the Alt key on the Mac down just to sample a colour from right beside it. Hit B for the brush tool, make my brush bigger using the square bracket keys on the Mac, and I'm just going to paint that out. Same thing goes, you've got the faint outline here of some of the people that were obviously watching the show, so I'm just going to start painting those out. What's pretty handy here is because the whole background's pretty much black, which means I can just go around. If there's nothing I don't like, there's something I don't like in the image, I can just paint it out, and it's taking it from that to that, and it just makes you immediately focus on the model of the model, I presume you call it yourself. Second thing, so I'm gonna just duplicate that background layer, and I've got a copy then if something goes wrong. So I'm just gonna merge that paint down. Second thing I'm gonna do is just tidy up a few stray hairs. There's no point really going around the whole image doing it. It's just a couple of ones that are catching my eye. You got these 2 or 3 hairs here that are just a bit higher and a bit bigger than all the other ones. So I'm just going to take that out. I'm going to take those 2 out. Again, I'm just using the brush tool here, and I'm going to take that out like so. There you go. I should have been working on the new layer itself, but I'm not that bothered that I'm not. So I'm going to make my brush smaller so it's about the same size as the actual hair itself. Get rid of that bit in there. That's tidy that up pretty nice. Then I'm going to hold the Alt key down again just to sample. And as you can see, it's not working that well. So what I might try and do is I'll create a new layer for this. I'll get into the clone tool, make the clone smaller again. You can use the square bracket keys again to work this. So that's about the size of the hair itself. And holding down the Alt key, I'm just going to create a clone sample point just below that piece of hair there. And if I keep dragging it up, that's that. And if you can see, if you can just see it, the actual hair itself is just disappearing from that bit. If I zoom in, you'll be able to see it a bit better. So if you keep your eye on this part of the screen, that's what it was before, that's after, and it's just squared it off a little bit better as well. So I'm gonna keep that layer there. I'm making a layer again, and there's just another bit of hair here that needs to make sure that I am sampling a colour, the right colour for there. And I'm just gonna tidy that bit of hair up there. I might as well do these just around here just to make it look that little bit better. I'm just using a mouse to do this, but if you've got a graphics tablet you get a bit better control over it. So if I zoom out again, you're probably not going to see that much of a difference there, but once you know about it, it's there. There's a couple of other things I want to do while I've got the paintbrush active. You'll see it when people do photo shoots and stuff like that, you get a bit of clothing kicking off, and the same thing happens here. She's got a bit of stray hairs coming off from the clothes herself, like a bit of loose fabric or stray fabric. So I'm just going to use the brush tool again, just going around and picking out these little stray pieces of clothing. As you can see, that's a pretty one. I just feel like there's nothing to do with the photographer. It's just like when they're preparing, and I just feel it just catches the eye a bit. So that's a bit better. Is there anything you can do about that? Because you got, if I move that a bit down, as you can see around here, some of the clothes or something that's like a bit of the pattern on the arm, is not uniform. You see you got a bit of a gap there. So if I merge that down to that layer there, if I copy a space like that, and I go image, delete layer, duplicate, or new via copy, it'll make a selection then of just that bit of the image there. So I use the V key, and I might try and just position that just a bit like that, and I'll merge that down. As you can see, it's just tidied up that bit of the clothing there. So you've taken the image from, I'll just zoom out. This is what we originally started off with. You've got the crowd here, the lights, and when you start zooming in, you've got that bit of clothing kicking out and that bit there. And it's just tidied it up that little bit better. There's some skin blemishes you could remove around the face, but they're only really visible when you start really zooming in. If you can use the spot healing brush tool for that. I'll make a new layer. I'll just do this pretty quickly. Get rid of that, and that. You got a couple of them pretty faint bumps there. One bit on the chin there. You got that on the cheek, below the eye there. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make that a bit bigger for that. You got 2, 3 on the nose there. And zoom out a bit. You got 1 by the eye over here. And what I'm doing in Photoshop is, if you hold down the space bar, your cursor turns to a hand, and then you can just drag it around the image. And I didn't notice that piece of stray hair going along the forehead like that. So if I just zoom out, you've got that. That's just sort of like that. That's good. You've got that little bit just up above the eyebrow around here that I'm going to try and get rid of. So you can see that did not work at all, so I might try and do it quickly by hand like that. And as you can see, that's not working either. So if I use the history tool, and I went back one bit too far there, just like that, just to get rid of that. 1, 2, 3. There was that little bit of the eyebrow, I think, there. So I'll just quickly clone that out, like that. Yes, I know. Sampling from current below. You must do this if you're going to be working on a new layer. What this will do is, although it's a blank layer, it'll go for the blemishes layer, the background copy, and the background layer itself, and sampling from there. So I'm just going to hold the Alt key down to define a clone point, make it a bit bigger, and then clone along there. So as you can see, it's still there. Bugger. Has that done anything to it at all? That's okay. So yeah, I've got rid of the blemishes of the face. I'm just going to merge all those down. There's one thing I wanted to do before going back into Lightroom myself. How much time have we used there? 8 minutes. I think there's 7 minutes left. Okay. I'll do it, make a new. Because I'm working on a duplicate layer, that's okay, because everything there, and I need this for the next thing. As you can see around the eyes, she's got a faint trace of makeup there. And I want to bring this out because it'll go nicely with the lips itself. So on the background, on the duplicate layer, I'm going to use the sponge tool, and I want to saturate any colour that I come across. So I'll start by just clicking on the makeup around the eyes. You can see it just goes behind the eyebrows, the eyelashes I mean, and she's got some here as well. Just to bring it out a bit more. So if I zoom out, as you can see, she's got a bit more pink around the eyes. If I go from there, it's another subtle change, but you can take this one step further. Get myself the brush tool again. I'm going to go for a soft brush. I can always adjust the size later. And what's handy here is you can actually change the opacity or the modes of the brush. So I'm going to click overlay, because that'll work pretty nice I think here. And you can also control the opacity of the brush. So I'm going to drag that down to about 10%, because I don't want this to be boom in your face, so to speak. I'm not going to sample any of the colours around the eye because they're a bit dull. So I'm just going to grab something from, let's say, this part, and I'll have 2 colours so I can play around to see which one's best. Okay, so if I start on that top layer then, remember the brush is at 10% on overlay mode. So if I start brushing in around the eye like so, like that, and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like that. There, so I'll do 1, just to make it a bit more defined. I'll zoom out. As you can see, it looks, because I've gone over the eyebrows and a bit of the hair there, but I think it makes the eyes stand out a little bit more. Do remember that you've got the layer at 100%, so if you think it's a bit too boom in your face, you can always adjust the opacity. So I'm going to keep mine at about 80%. So you take the image from that to that, and I feel that that just draws you into the eye. I'm actually going to take that opacity down a little bit more because it's a bit too bright for me. So yeah, if I keep it about 72%, nope, 65, nice round number. That's a bit better. It's giving you the illusion that there's makeup there. And what I'm going to quickly do, I'm just going to duplicate that layer in case I mess up. Hit E for the eraser tool on that layer there. Make my eraser a bit bigger. That's what she said. And it's not that layer, it's the top one, isn't it? Okay, stupid me. I'll just get some of the eyebrows back, if that makes any kind of sense whatsoever. And just what I'm simply doing is just getting rid of some of the pinkish tints from the eyelashes themselves, so they stand out a bit more against the pink. So as you can see, you end up with something like that. I'm actually going to just make my brush a bit smaller and just touch up just around the eyes here, like so. I'm even going to bring it in a bit more towards here, into the corners of the eyes. Not gonna go down there. And I think that is one thing I might actually do is just grab the sponge tool and desaturate the corner of the right eye just a little bit. Did that work at all? No, that don't. Ah, that's why. So if I click that and take the saturation down just a teeny bit around the eye here, it'll make the makeup look. There we go. So looking at the image like that, then she's just got that slight bit of makeup around the top of the eyes that makes it look that little bit better, I think. And I think that's going to be my edit in Photoshop. This is going to be a real quick one in Lightroom now. So I'll just hit quick Control or Command Save in Photoshop. You don't have to save as, just click Control Save and it'll take you into Lightroom itself. Oh wait, I've got more than 15 minutes on YouTube, haven't I? Yeah. Oh well, I got a bit more time to play. Okay. Well, this is saving. When I was doing the hair, you could do it and you'd spend about an hour or so doing it, depending on that level of control you wanted. The beauty of it is, if you're using a black background like this, you can just use a paintbrush and paint black on to the background. If you're doing a portrait, say like last week's example, then you might have to use the clone tool and take your time a bit more. It totally depends on the image itself and the background you're using. Okay, so I've saved that now. If I load Lightroom, it's just going to take a little bit then just to load the new image in. Or hopefully it should. And yeah, as you can see, it's loaded the new image into Lightroom itself, which is pretty handy. And then it's just a case now of, once it's loaded, please don't crash, it's just a case then of playing about with the image until you get what you want. As you can see, some of the settings get changed after being in Photoshop, but I'm going to warm the image up just a little bit more, not too much, to bring some warmth back into the skin itself. How's that comparing? Oh shit, what did I just do there? That's what I did. Sorry about that. So you're taking the image, warming it up just a little bit from there to there, which I'm happy with. I'm going to play with the tint a bit. Don't want to add the green tint. Do I add something like that? Yeah, just a slight bit of tint, I think. I'm not going to play with the exposure just for the moment. I kind of like the blacks. Do I? Yeah, I like it because it adds a bit, it brings a bit more into the face. Yeah? No? Maybe? And it brings a little bit more blackness to the hair as well, which I'm liking. Yeah, I like that. I'm not going to bother brightness. Bring that down. There we go. Tone curve. I'm going to actually play with this at all. No, because I'm actually, that was actually pretty nice on the skin there. As you can see, it's just catching your eyes under there as well, and it's drawing you in. You can even see from here that that extra bit of makeup we added just around the eye, it doesn't look too artificial, and I think looking back from it now, it just adds that little extra bit around the eyes. So I'm pretty much happy with the tone curve there, just that slight bend in it. I'm not, this image doesn't need a post-crop vignette, I do not think at all. You've got black covering, what, 3/4 of the image nearly, and it's drawing you pretty much into that there. The only thing you could say is that this part of the image here is catching the eye, so if you do it, nah, you see you're losing the context of the image by adding one in, I think. Yeah, and I think, if I'm not, is that, I just play one of the brushes. No, I don't want to play with the mask. I'm playing with the brush. I might. Do I play with anything? Let's see what this will do. See if we can bring something back into the eye. As you can see, I did a hopeless job there. I'm going to do it on both the eyes at the same time. 'Cause the last thing I want to do is do each eye individually and then play about the settings and something looks a bit wrong. Okay, so that's brought the eyes out a bit more. If I drop the exposure down just a little bit, there we go. And yeah, that is my edit for this week. If you like the video, please let me know. And yeah, see ya.